think you should. Yeah.
So this video was supposed to be out a couple days ago. I had planned for it to be out a couple days ago, but unfortunately, as life sometimes just gets in the way, I couldn't record because, you know, real life stuff happens, and, you know, it really wears me down so much to the point where I just don't want to get up and record. My sleep patterns are all off. Like it's 5 in the morning, and I woke up like 3 or 4 hours ago. So I'm not really on the correct sleeping patterns. You know, I'm sleeping all throughout the day, and I'm waking up at night. So, you know, I'm getting a lot of stuff just kind of thrown at me, kind of in the middle of the day, where I feel like I could record, but stuff happens, of course, and I can't really do anything about it. So, regardless, depending on what happens today, and just depending if I'm in a good mood or not, I have a lot of recording to do. Because not only do I have to record this last week's episode of Persona 5, I have to record this week's episode of Persona 5. I still have to watch the Boruto episode and record a review for that. And then I have to do the same thing for My Hero Academia, which, you know, last week's episode on my review of it was released just a couple days ago. If you missed that, go ahead and check it out. And of course, there will be something that you can click on the screen at the end of the video if you haven't seen it already, or you can just go to my channel. So either way, we're back with episode 6, I believe, of Persona 5. Don't correct me on that if I'm wrong, but don't quote me on that. That's what I meant to say. But you know, we're back where we left off last week, and not last week, but you know what I mean. The last episode, what we saw at the ending of that episode was Yusuke, and he was following, you know, An and the others, because, you know, the beginning of the episode basically explains. So Yusuke goes over to An and he starts talking to her, and basically he's an artist. He's an artist who wanted a model, and he saw An and he really wanted her to be a model, but he didn't flat out just say that he wanted her to be a model. They wanted comedic relief with the moment, and sometimes with his character, because Yusuke is really different from all the other characters in the series, but he's really anticipating what he's going to say, and Ryuji and Ren think that he's gonna say like something about being his girlfriend or whatever, like he's gonna ask her out or something. But no, he's just a painter who's looking for a model. And before they cut to the intro, he says, "I want you to be my model," and they're like confused because they thought it was something different. And you know, I had a little bit of a chuckle. I thought it was funny. And after the intro, we go back to Sainijima, and she's talking about how that was really convenient how they met one of the next members of the Phantom Thieves conveniently, you know, after all the stuff with Kamoshida happened, and conveniently how he was a student of Madarame, because spoiler alert, the next target for the Phantom Thieves at the end of the episode is Madarame, and Madarame is this famous artist who has been having rumors about him plagiarizing and abusing his pupils or his students, his disciples, you know, plagiarizing their work and abusing them if they didn't do something right, or abusing them to, you know, do this or that. And it's very serious. You know, there's a lot of abuse that seems to be happening with some of the targets that the Phantom Thieves are going after, or at least with Madarame and Kamoshida, which is why they, you know, eventually go after them, of course. So the episode starts off after, you know, all that Sainijima kind of exposition a little bit, and they go back to the school and the next scene. And something that I want to point out is Kawakami, the teacher, she's really tired. And if you played the video game, then you already know what's kind of why that is the reason. But for those of you who don't know, she kind of lives a double life, and you know, she's out all night for a lot of the wrong reasons, for different reasons than you're probably expecting. But she's really tired, and she's going to sleep basically right there. But everyone's taking a test, so I thought that was a neat detail. You know, they didn't do that in the game because you do take a couple of tests in the game, which you know, if you're just a dumbass like me, then you don't know what the answers are. But of course, because the internet exists, you can just look up the correct answers and be okay. So it doesn't matter. But I just thought that was a neat detail, because they are giving like background characters more exposition and more detail about them, and that's something that some other anime don't do. And I feel like that's a really neat detail that I noticed and I understood the reference to it, and I appreciated it for it. So they all pass over their test sheets because they just finished taking a test, and then they're all three of them and Morgana are back on the roof. Ryuji, An, and Ren, and then Morgana. They're all back on the roof, and they're basically talking about what they're gonna do for the next target for the Phantom Thieves. They have no idea who they want to go after, and they all had already agreed that whoever they decide to go after, it has to be unanimous, meaning they all have to agree on a target, one specific target at a time. That's just how it works. And they explained that Yusuke, the guy who asked On to be a model for him, had given them free tickets for them to go to the art exhibit that's happening in Shibuya. And we get to that later on in the episode. They're there, they're looking around, they're looking at all these art pieces and stuff, and then they see Madarame, and Madarame seems like a neat guy. He seems like he's a friendly guy, very humble, very honest with what he's saying, but that's on camera in public. Behind the scenes, he's very different. And An and Yusuke, they go over and do whatever they're doing, right? And they actually see a painting, and it was a painting that An really wanted to see. And Yusuke points out the fact, well, he doesn't really point out the fact, but just by his body language and just how he reacted to it, and to what An was saying about the painting, it basically hints the fact that, all the rumors of like plagiarism that I had explained earlier were basically true, because Yusuke actually painted the painting, and Madarame basically just took full credit for it, and he didn't even do anything. And later on in the episode, he actually explains to them that he's in a bit of a slump and there's no abuse or anything. I'm willingly giving him my ideas so that way he can paint something, but A, that's not how art works, and B, that's straight up fucking plagiarism regardless. So, it's kind of like this whole thing where Yusuke is an orphan. Yusuke is an orphan, that's his backstory, and he's an orphan who was raised by Madarame, and he basically thinks that he owes his life to Madarame because he took him in when he had nothing, when he had nobody, and he took him in and he taught him, to be an artist, to be a better painter, and Madarame saw that he had talent, and because of that, he's using him for paintings so that way he can get more money and fame. And then Ren actually points out the fact that there was stuff on the Phantom Thieves fan website where someone submitted in, arguments of plagiarism and abuse with some famous artist that they didn't give a name of. But basically, the person says that he takes his disciples or his pupils or whatever into a shack and basically forces them to paint wherever he wants to be painted or not, or whatever they paint, and it just plagiarizes them and gets more money and fame because he's claiming that he drew them himself. And something else that they actually pointed in the episode that I don't know if I just didn't notice in the video game, but they point out the fact that there's so many different forms of illustration in the Japanese art style that it's almost surprising that Madarame actually was able to come up with a lot of these, illustrations of art style, in, obviously different forms of Japanese art style. And, they all didn't really think twice about it. Like, maybe he actually has someone else painting it. So regardless, on staying in contact with Yusuke, he contacts him, and then she's like, okay, I'll take the modeling job, because she hadn't accepted it yet, but now she did. And then he gives them the address to go to Madarame's shack, quote unquote, which is his home, I guess. It kind of seems weird that would be his house, because it looks like a literal like homeless shelter. I'm sorry, that's offensive, but regardless, all three of them get there. They confront Yusuke about the rumors about Madarame and if they're true or not, and he's like, no, of course they're not true, yada yada, bullshit, it's kind of whatever. So the episode continues on, and then Madarame, putting up a front, obviously says something about how they're not true, and it's okay that everybody doesn't like him or whatever, just basically just putting up a front of innocence in front of them, so that way they don't really think that he's doing what the rumors are saying that he's doing. And then Yusuke actually shows them a painting that inspired him to become an artist, and it's a painting that will become a later reoccurrence, a later occurrence in the series a couple of times, depending on what they do, and then obviously with this arc with the Madarame stuff. So it's a painting of a woman, and it looks very beautiful, and it's called Sayuri, and they point out, the characters point out that it's very beautiful, and even Ryuji, he doesn't really understand like this all artsy stuff. Knows that it's very impressive and it's very inspiring and it's beautiful, and Yusuke points out the fact that the original was stolen and that nobody knows where it is, and that's just basically it. That's what inspired him to become an artist, and when he saw On once more, he saw the same emotion that he felt the same time that he saw the painting for the first time. And then, of course, they leave the place, and they really think that Madarame is this good guy and that he's not really all that bad or not. And then the Meta-Nav actually picked up on their conversation, and they picked up Madarame as a name, and they hit, but for some reason it didn't say that they got a hit. And then they said Shaq, and they got a hit as well. And so now they needed one more word on, and basically what they needed is, what does Madarame perceive the shack as? And basically Ren says that it's a museum. And then what do you know? They got a hit, and then now they're in the cognitive world of Madarame's palace, and now they basically go ahead and do a little bit of investigation, and they find out that he is, plagiarizing people's work, or his disciples' work, that he is abusing them, and that he's gonna use Yusuke all up until he pretty much dies. That's quote what he said. He's gonna use and abuse him until he finally just dies for whatever reason. I gotta fucking reply on Twitter. I gotta reply to that after this video. But after that happens, they decide to go back and meet up with Yusuke, and Yusuke is trying to paint the painting of On, and then they actually point out in the episode, of course, of what he actually is trying to do, and he can't paint it. And then On's like, why? And then he's like, I can't paint a nude portrait of your clothes. And then, of course, because On is a girl and he wanted to paint her nude, she's embarrassed, and they're like, what the fuck, dude? That's wrong. What the fuck is wrong with you, you perv? I thought that was funny the first time I played the game, and when I saw the scene, I actually had a little bit of a chuckle watching it again in the anime. And then, of course, they confront him, like I already explained before. They confront him. He says that he's in a slump, that he willingly gives them, his ideas, and Madarame paints them or whatever. It's misunderstood, etc., etc. But that's all lies. It's lies. He's trying to basically just, back him up and say that the rumors are false. They're not true. And then the guy that they met before. And Mementos, the Mementos episode. If you saw that video that I reviewed, they met a guy, and he was basically just a stalker boyfriend of this girl, right? And basically, he was a disciple of Madarame too, and he explains to them that, or rather, I forget his name. I forgot what his name was, but whoever created a fan site, he's talking to Ren, right? And he's getting information that he wants to talk to the Phantom Thieves in person, because he doesn't want to give out, someone's, name on the website because of reasons, right? So, Ren, Ryuji, On, and Morgana, they meet the guy in person, but of course they keep their identity secret because they don't want anyone to know that they're Phantom Thieves. So he goes over to them in public, or he goes over to him in public, and then he starts talking to him, like, what do you know about Madarame and what is he doing? And, he basically confirms that the rumors are true because he was a former disciple of Madarame, and he actually also said that one of the former students of Madarame had suffered so much to the point where he just eventually killed himself because he didn't want to go through the life of torment by Madarame and what he was doing. So, finally, the Phantom Thieves, Ren, Ryuji, Morgana, On, and they decide that that's what they need to do. It's unanimous. They agree to go after him, and their next target and what they say at the ending of the episode is their next target is Madarame. So that's pretty much it for the rest of the episode. The episode ends off, they play the credits, and then they have a little scene at the ending of the credits where Yusuke is looking at the painting that inspired him to be an artist, and then he's fucking quivering in a corner. And I thought that was a weird way to end up the episode, but it makes sense. So regardless, the episode was very good. I had a couple of moments where I had a little bit of a chuckle because Yusuke is a very interesting character, and he's not like every other character that you know so far from the series. He's very different, but sometimes he has his moments that are pretty interesting and pretty funny. So the episode was really good, regardless of everything else that had happened throughout the week. I'm pretty happy that I got to, I'm pretty happy that I wait to watch this episode, because now I'm gonna watch this episode just now, but then I can go watch the next episode, later on after I'm done editing the video, and then of course, it all comes full circle. So regardless, that's the end of the video. Go watch the episode if you haven't already. It's really good, and go enjoy it. Go watch Persona 5 if you honestly haven't already. There will be a link down in the description for Crunchyroll. Go to Crunchyroll for all your anime needs and craves and stuff. Because Persona 5 is there, Dragon Ball Super is there, Boruto is there, My Hero Academia is there, and then supposedly there's a Dragon Ball Heroes anime that's going to be coming out very soon. So be on the lookout for Crunchyroll for whenever that comes out too. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.